Probably. So start planning accordingly. All right, so the first question says, change into degrees. Well, you had to do this on your quiz. How do we change that into degrees? So we just let that be 180. And I think that's going to be 36. What is it? That 108. Yeah, 108. Is that what you got?
I still need a packet.
Honey, if I have it either back in that bin back there, and if I don't, you have to put one to school with you. But there should be some extras back there. But for right now, 250 degrees. How do we change that into radians? Pi over 180 equals x over 250. That was a quiz question on some quiz, and some of you missed it. Pi over 180 equals x over 250. So then you cross multiply and divide. So x equals 25 pi over 18. The zeros will cancel, the tens, and that's it. Okay? Now we haven't done one of these in a very long time. This is an arc length problem. What do we remember about arc length? Does anybody remember anything about arc length? Arc length equals, we have a little formula. Radius times radians. Now the radius of the circle is 10, so I have that. That is a 40-degree angle. So before I can use it, I'm going to have to change it into radians. So pi, which is what I just did over here. So pi over 180 equals x over 40. This one's going to reduce a little bit more. It'll reduce down to 2 pi over 9. But don't get excited. That's not the answer. What's that? All that work was for what? To make this a radian so that I can use it in my formula. Because my formula says I have to take the radius times the radian measure of the angle. So I needed to find the radian measure of the angle, and then radius times that. So what is that? 20 pi over 9. And that actually has a unit. This is what I'm finding right here, the arc length. So it's going to be inches, just like the radius. So 10 over 1 times 2 pi over 9, 20 pi over 9 inches is the answer. Okay, now we've got one of these where we have to find everything. The tangent's 1/2. And what does this mean? That's written a little bit strangely. What does that mean? Quadrant 3. Because if we think about our labels, this says that our angle is in between 180 and 270. So that's just kind of a mathematical way of saying, draw your picture in quadrant 3. Now, the tangent of that angle, opposite over adjacent, 1/2. But be careful, because I drew it in quadrant 3, the 1 and the 2 are both negative. You didn't see the negative in the problem, because when I put them over each other, they canceled out. But I'm still in quadrant 3, so they are still negative. And that's gonna matter for all these. Okay, so what's missing? Hypotenuse, just like always, that happens to us all the time. That'd be Pythagorean theorem, okay. Use the Pythagorean theorem, what do you come up with? Root 5. And remember, the hypotenuse is always positive. So no matter what quadrant you're in, that's gonna be a positive number. Okay, so now I can, well, actually, I could have done cotangent right away, right? Cotangent's 2/1. Now I can do all the rest. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. Cosecant is the reciprocal of the sine. And secant is the reciprocal of the cosine. So then I'll go back and clean it up. So my answers are presentable. Okay? Number 5. This is exactly what you just did on your quiz. These problems are exactly what the front side of your quiz was. So, first thing you're going to do is what? Change 3 pi over 4 into degrees. And I hope you get 135. Where is 135? Right here, right? So I make a triangle. Always make a triangle unless you're on a line. And then you got to figure out this very important angle, because that's the angle that's going to help you figure out what your sides are. How big is the angle that's formed by the 135 and the 180? 45. So the sides are 1 root 2. But I'm in quadrant 2, so that one's negative. I want the cosine. So it's kind of like this one, except you only want one thing. I want the cosine. The cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. Negative root 2 over 2 is our final answer. This is exactly the same thing. So we're going to start by figuring out how many degrees we're talking about. What angle are we talking about? What is 5 pi over 6? 150. So that one's over here also. So I'll make my triangle. Now I need this angle, which is the angle between 150 and 180. 30. So my sides are 1, 2, 3, just like that. But again, because I'm in quadrant 2, that's going to be negative. Tangent is opposite over adjacent. Hopefully you got negative root 3 over 3. Get rid of these last two, then we'll be out of time. Sine pi. Whoa, wait a minute. What's going on here? Sine pi. That's 180 which is right here, isn't it? So I'm gonna let the radius be 1. And what is my point then over here? -1, 0, good. Which means x is -1, y is 0, and r is 1. You don't need to write that down, but it might help you. That's your x, that's your y. What's sine? Y over r. So the sine is 0. Last one, secant 5 pi over 3. What's 5 pi over 3? 300. Not on a line. So I draw my triangle. 300 down here in quadrant 4. Right? Quadrant 4. And then I need this angle right here. Now that's the angle between 360 and 300. So how big is it? 60. So root 3, 1 and 2 like that. But I'm in quadrant 4, which means the root 3 is negative. I want secant, which is reciprocal of cosine. And cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So this is going to be hypotenuse over adjacent. So the secant of 5 pi over 3 is 2. Stop there.